Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's Mr. Reality, joined by psychic medium Liz Koss. How are you, Liz?
I am great. Don't forget, Mr. Reality does have a tip jar listed below.
So, there's a lot of movies about Spartacus, a Thracian warrior turned gladiator who battled Rome and left his shackles around 73 BC. But I don't know if we've
Mhm.
ever channeled Spartacus, so I thought that might be a fun one. Well, fun, I don't
No,
know.
I have him here. He's excited.
Can he tell us about his early life and about how, if he was sold into slavery or if he had a path? How did he get thrown in prison?
Oh, were you sold into slavery? No, he was captured.
Sounds like what's happening now in another country, but what was that situation like and how was he captured? For what did he do?
You do. He was a defector. He was a defector, and he was captured. He went on the run. He was a defector, and he shows me running away, and they captured him. And it was hell after that.
So that was around, it says, I don't know when he was captured, but how young was he when he was captured?
Mm. How young were you when you? He was about 17.
And then was he forced into what type of work, what type of prison system? Was he really a gladiator?
Ooh, were you really a glad? Yes, he was really a gladiator. And those battles were brutal, and he would kill a lot of people in the battle. Now, those people were also other prisoners. So it was like prisoners killing prisoners, right?
Tell us about the
Um,
battles.
Tell us about what was prison life? It was terrible. It was chained up dungeon walls. And tell us about the battles. It was kill or be killed. And how did you stay fit? If you were chained to a wall, how were you to stay fit? If you were there for weeks, and were you able to get up and walk around? No, not really. So you were you immobile? Did they just unchain you and throw you into the arena? Basically, yes. Did they give you any time to prepare? No. You got to pick weapons, or sometimes the weapons were chosen for you. He was lucky because he was young. He had that going for him. Often his opponents were older than he is, decrepit, which was unfair. But then he did come across opponents that were very fit, as fit as he was, and he would have to outsmart them and outwit them. And they were terrible. Like, I hate to say it, but he just showed me like putting a stake in someone's eye.
So was it only mano a mano battle, or were there animals, or was it 2-on-1 or 2-on-2, or were there groups?
Were there groups? Sometimes they were organized into groups. Was it animals as well? That was infrequent. Animals was infrequent because a lot of times those animals they had to come from exotic places. So he's talking about like tigers and exotic animals. And that was a real specialty, he says, a rare occasion. But did you ever have to fight one? No, he did not have to fight an animal. And what about in groups? Yes. And he would have to lead the group. And oftentimes it would just be him and other members of the group. So he would have to take on three or four different prisoners. And he was badly injured in a lot of these battles. And I'm saying, well, what happened after you were injured? Did you get treated? No, he would get chained back up. There was no treatment. So
Wow.
you better make sure that you weren't wounded severely, because that's what the
Oh,
prisoners did. Basically they didn't really die in the prison. They died on the battlefield, this gladiator arena. Um that was that was what they were to do. So if you kept winning all the time, would you eventually be let out of prison? No, you were there until death. Look at that picture.
thank you. I don't, these aren't my pictures. They're just from Lexica, so I can't take
Oh,
any control of these.
okay.
Well, did he have any type of plotting, or, I mean, do you become friends with someone and then have to battle them in the arena?
Did you become friends with people and have to battle them? One time, yes. That was when a lot of times these prisoners, they would have to like build things, move stones around, and that was when he did form a bit of a friendship. That was all part of the plan too. They wanted you to form friendships and then have to battle it out on the arena. But it really was kill or be killed. You had no choice. Did
Wow.
females battle in the arena? No. So I'm looking at your picture here on the left, the bottom left, and that's why I asked that question. So did you
Wow.
see females? No, it was males. It was a blood sport. It was for entertainment.
And looking back across lifetimes before Spartacus, was there something that led up to you becoming in this life of servitude and a prisoner life
So
that you had to
looking
pay
at the
recompense
life
for?
of Spartacus, was there something? I mean, I feel that his people were basically enslaved, is what he's telling me. You know, you got swallowed up by a kingdom, and you either had to be for that kingdom or against that kingdom. If you were against the kingdom, you were going to be in big trouble. So you just had to take it. But a lot of times they were enslaved. His people were enslaved. And he pretended to be for the kingdom, he's telling me, but he betrayed them. He knew how to play the game. Okay, he knew that, oh, yes, you just pretend and go along with it. This is what you have to do. But as he was getting older and they started putting him into the military at 14, they were saying, he's saying to me, that's when he went into the military to train to fight wars. And then he saw how badly the soldiers were treating the enslaved people. And that's when he turned, especially when it happened to one of his family members. So then he tried to break free and tried to leave the kingdom altogether. And he was captured because he was one of these strongest people in the military. I mean, he was very well known for his ability to battle, his ability of strength.
So he was in prison for like 20 years. Did he sense that his end was coming and he had to break out? What fueled that decision?
Did you sense it was coming and you had to break out? He was always trying to break free. Always.
Can you tell us
Did you
about his youth? What was that like? Was it a happy childhood? Do you have brothers and sisters in that lifetime?
brothers and sisters? He had sisters. And what about your youth? Was that happy? I mean, it was relatively happy because his own father, what I'm getting, or the male figure in the household, pretended that nothing was really happening, that everything is wonderful. They were often very hungry. It was very difficult for them. And he realized that he could work from a very young age, just doing things for people because of his strength. And that would bring in a little bit of money to buy food for the family, is what he's telling me. So that would buy what kind bread. It wasn't anything extravagant. What about meat? Meat was rare. I mean, that was a luxury.
Can you tell us about the politics of inside the arena? I mean, is that where he stayed or was he ferried into the arena from somewhere else? Were there quarters at the arena?
Oh, are there quarters at the arena? Were there quarters at the arena? No, 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 no. But the prison cells were nearby. And they were, sometimes the prisoners, they were on display prior to going into the arena. So they would have like these mock cages, I guess, or makeshift cages where they would say, oh, this battle is going to take place. Did they charge money? Yeah, they charged money. They charged money for entry into the arena. It really was like a paid sport. The kingdom raised money for that, through that.
How many people does he figure he killed when he was in the arena? Not when he was
Mm.
in war, but
How many people did you kill while you were in the arena? At least 20.
And did he probably wounded a lot more? Has he paid the price karmically for those people, or is he still working on it?
Ooh, he's still working on that. He's still, yes, and he's had a lot of terrible injuries in a lot of his lifetimes post Spartacus. Spartacus was not his real name, by the way.
Oh,
That was the name given to him by the military when he was in the military. He was given that name Spartacus because of his strength.
wow. How many is he incarnated now?
Are you incarnated now? Yes, he is.
And where is he
Mm.
living?
Where are you living? Are you in Europe? No. He's in the USA. He's near the border of Canada. Are you as strong as you were in that lifetime? No, no.
Does he have any affiliation or like affinity for that Spartacus role, or does it just leave you when you reincarnate?
Do you have any affinity for this? He loves Spartacus, okay?
Wow.
Your present day self love, yeah. Your present day self is obsessed with these battles. And are you male? Yes, he is male. And how old are you? He's about 21 now. And are you working? No. I feel like he's a student. He just told me he's a student. And what are you going to do in this current lifetime? Are you in what field are you in? I feel like he's in the medical field. And came into a very sort of affluent family. Are you from Canada? No, he's from the US, but his family have money. And are you in medical? I feel he is in medical school. Are you training to be a doctor? No. Oh my God, a surgeon.
Wow. It's probably going to help patch up some people that he cut up.
Exactly. Right.
Does mental illness come from past life trauma, or is it only in the life that we have trauma?
Does mental illness come from past life trauma? Oh yeah, its roots are in past life. Yes.
Wow.
And then so what about the trauma that we experience in this lifetime? Well, that sort of bleeds through from the other lifetimes in order to bring forth or bring about the mental illness or the problem, the trap.
Wow. So what made him finally decide I've got to get out of here? And how did he rally troops to escape? Tell us about the real escape.
Oh, how did you rally troops to They organized a prison riot.
Ah,
That's what they did. They organized a riot unseen, but weren't you chained to the wall? Yes, but there was a master key, and in today's world, the locks would be easy to pick, and somebody tricked the guard, got a hold of the key, got the guard to unlock one of them, knocked the guard out, and basically went around and unlocked everybody else. And then, of course, when they tried to escape, he's telling me that's when the riot started. So they organized a prison riot.
and how many of them escaped and how many joined his army?
How many? All of them joined his army.
How many we talking?
How many are we talking? How many? About 80.
And how did they formulate their attack plans? Were there any military strategists among them, or I mean, they're just guys in prison?
Were there any military strategy? No, all of that was down to him.
Did he have any prior lifetimes that had military strategists in them, or did he just make it up as he went along? Had he been plotting and
Right.
planning?
Did you have any prior lifetimes that had military? Yes, one. Right before Spartacus. It was funny because what he was showing me the lifetime before the lifetime of Spartacus, um, he was leader of the military. So he actually enslaved the people that were currently enslaved. So
Oh, wow.
Spartacus family members that became enslaved, they were enslaved by Spartacus. If that does that make sense?
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the previous lifetime, he'd enslaved the members that he was working with in his army.
Mm-hmm.
So that forged his own life then, and that forged the path. How did they survive, and how did they gather strength in their army, or were they just the rogue 80 men that were then hunted by, Roman soldiers at the time? I want to find out more what happened from like 73 to 71 BC.
Okay, so 73 to 71 BC.
That's what they say. I don't know if that's accurate, but after he escaped, as he fought Rome, tell us about that time in his life, whatever year it was, if we're off on a year.
Well, they had to get more people to join the military. So what happened? There was an underground movement, and then they all took up, they had to make weapons. They had to fight. They fought with everything that they could, even if it was like a rock or a piece of metal or whatever it was. A lot of things were stolen. A lot of the weaponry, they would break into the weapons storage and they would steal it, and then they organized a revolt.
And how were their battles? I mean, did they plan to find Roman not strongholds, but how did they fight and win against? You would think Rome has great armies and they can withstand an attack of rogue prisoner escapees.
How did you organize? Did you challenge them to battles? I feel like they publicly called it. They challenged. You had to challenge, he says, people to battles at that time. Did you do any sneak attacks? I mean, yes, they did, and they did very well. And they would, quickly leave death and destruction and run off, and they would steal uh more weapons, more weaponry, horses even. And then what, and so then they just kept building and building and building. And and then they had to, once they became a very established military army or coup, whatever you want to call it, once that was firmly established and they were well equipped, now they challenged them. They would call them into battle. And they won. They won a lot.
And how did he decide where to attack next? Did he just walk around, or did he have a strategic plan? I mean, it seems like an insurmountable war against the Roman army.
How did you plan next? Well, then they became more strategic, right? As they got more and more people, they became more strategic. And they were winning a lot of battles. They also had did you have people? They also had people on the inside.
Oh, what was his favorite weapon?
Ooh, what was your favorite? uh I don't know why he's showing me like this thing with a ball on it and a
A
chain.
mace? Yeah,
What is that? See,
the
I don't
mace.
like this stuff.
Oh, okay.
I'm so girly when it comes to this stuff. I'm sorry. I just, I don't like if my husband and the kid, not the kids, but more my oldest kid, but if they have like this kind of stuff on, oh my God, like I just can't face it. But yeah. What is a mace?
It's like a wand with a chain on it and a ball that's got spikes on it, and you can wave it around and then, beat people over the head and take them out. So,
Oh, the thing with the spikes.
yeah, tell us about his most favorite battle that he was in.
What was your most favorite battle
Well,
that you were
favorite.
in? Well, he says all of them that he won. They won a lot. So yeah, he's showing me like he would wind that thing up. He was very good at getting people with that thing on the chain, right? And nobody could get close to him because it was hand-to-hand combat. He showed me like he would spin around and knock everybody out.
Wow. What
See,
does
you
he
like
think?
this stuff.
How was he most skillful at it? What was he? Was that probably practice from being in the arena? Um,
Did you use that in the arena? No, that was forbidden. That was off limits in the arena. Why?
oh,
Because they didn't want it over quickly. They wanted long, drawn out battles that went on, till people got their money's worth. Wow.
what were his religious affiliations as Spartacus? Did he think of there was an afterlife? Did he worship a god?
Did you worship a god? No, he said there couldn't possibly be a god or gods that would put people through hell. So, no, he was not religious at all.
Wow. Does he feel like he has made amends for this lifetime, or he still has a long way to go?
Ooh, do you still have? He still has a long way to go. So, what karmic repercussions in your current lifetime? You know what's so weird? Like, I just got a flash. What if this kid that was Spartacus, right?
Yeah.
Is listening to this video and we're about to tell him the repercussions that are going to happen in his current lifetime, and yet he has no idea that these things are coming. You see what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's trippy.
So what are the repercussions in this lifetime? I mean, he's going to be a very, very good surgeon. And you're right, he is going to patch up a lot of people from their injuries, and mainly like critical injury surgeons. So the kind of surgeon that is on standby, the trauma surgeon. Okay. So if you have and I forgot what the levels are, but if you have like a certain level trauma, it's like people come in the ER and, whoa, we got to go into surgery immediately to save their lives. That's what he's going to do. This
Wow.
guy loves adrenaline. He gets high on adrenaline, which is great for people that are going to be under his care. But I also feel he's going to have disastrous relationships with females. He's going to make some mistakes. Um, he's going to end up being not being able to save people due to some of those mistakes. And he says he'll learn from those mistakes, but he'll never forgive himself. Anytime he loses a patient, he takes it very personally. So he's now absorbing that loss. Okay. So that dark energy, emotional energy will be transferred from that patient onto him. And no matter how long he's in the game or in the surgery system for, um, yeah, it's kind of like one of those jobs that, okay, when you first go in, oh God, I feel terrible, but you
Yeah.
slowly get over it because of repeated exposure. That's not Spartacus. Spartacus will absorb anytime he loses somebody. And it doesn't even matter if the person is like a gang member or the person just robbed or tried to shoot themselves or whatever it is. He's not going to judge anybody in that way, like, well, they shot themselves, so whatever, maybe if they didn't, I don't feel bad because they inflicted it upon themselves. No, he's not going to look at it like that. He's going to look at it as his personal purpose is to save these people. So when he can't, he will be absorbing that energy. And of course, that's up to him now to process that energy. If he can't process it, which he won't be able to process all of it, if he can't process it, then he'll have to go to the other side with that unresolved energy. What is so interesting is what he's telling me. A lot of his military members that he had in the lifetime of Spartacus are now going to be his patients.
Wow. Mind blown. So that karmic weight, what does that look like in a like astral or over the other side realm sense if he carries it over to his soul, not being able to process it down here? Is it like an anchor as we see it, or is it like a color weight? What does karmic debt look like?
It's like what he's showing me, according to his feelings. It's like a real heavy um box that you're having to lug around, right? This heavy, almost like a big brown you know, if you think in terms of like kettlebell sizes, but it's in the size of a box, but you know how heavy the kettleballs can be? It's like this weighted, dark, deep rooted energy, and it's heavy. It's heavy. It really is. And you have to expend a lot of energy just to carry all of this dark energy around with you.
And over the last 2,000 years, has he done anything to help dissipate that energy, or has he been adding to it?
Mm. Have you been? I mean, he's been trying to be good. I mean, in that lifetime, he had no choice, right?
Mhm.
Um, and see, isn't that unfair? I was talking about this with someone yesterday, or a great guy, but it is unfair. It's like you're forced to come here and you're forced to take part in these contracts, right? And you're forced to take on karmic debt, whether you like it or not. There's no getting out of the karmic debt plague or whatever you want to call it. You just can't seem to get out of it. If you come down here with a life full of light and goodness and nothing bad happens, well, first of all, you're wasting the energy of the matrix, right? So that's just wasted. You're not helping the system. And B, you've accomplished absolutely nothing in your lifetime. Okay, so it's very important that you come down here and you get into this karmic debt cycle. Now, how that works is, you know, when you hear these old things about, God will judge you, right? Or you will be judged when you go up into the spirit world. Well, if we're being forced to take this stuff on, this karmic debt on, how can we possibly be judged? It just doesn't make any sense, right? But religion tells you you've got to be good and you cannot sin, and you should ask for forgiveness. And this is what we came up with yesterday, which is, well, yeah, but if you're forced to play into the system, then you can't be judged at all, which is why a lot of people, there's this big misnomer that like Hitler and all these terrible people, serial killers or whatever, in the past or have had their souls dissolved. That is simply not true. That is not true at all. Oh, when Putin crosses over, his soul will dissolve. Absolutely not, because there is no judgment on the other side. You can't be judged for being forced to play a game and enter into the karmic debt cycle.
Wow. So let's have him walk us through exactly what happened when he crossed over up to the moment when he died. Can he tell us about the last battle, how he was injured, how he died, and then that transition and what exactly happened when he was on the other side?
So, how he died was that he was already injured. He received some sort of leg injury. And honestly, Hollywood should just call Liz Cross, right? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I know they do a really good job of and I don't even know. I just can't watch the battle stuff. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to our guys out there that love this stuff. I really am. But they should just call me and find out how Spartacus really died. So he was injured. He had a leg injury, a very deep wound on his left leg. He's telling me he's very good connection here with Spartacus. And he was bleeding out. He was losing a lot of blood, and somebody came up and speared him. They did not know he was Spartacus until they started stealing the armor, right? So apparently, back in the day, and I wouldn't know this, but back in the day when, people are dead on the ground and a battle's over, they'll go through blood or no blood and they'll start picking off the armor from the other side and stealing all their weapons, which I guess, yes, because that's what Spartacus told us he did,
Scavengers, yeah.
right? And that's when they found out that they killed Spartacus.
Did he have tattoos in that life?
No, he had a lot of scars, battle scars. He had a line on his face from a battle in the arena. where he got cut. So that's how they recognize him. It's on the left side of the face, sort of a line running down towards his mouth, but at an angle. So from the left cheek down to like the bottom lip. And that, you know, that's what made him so recognizable. They always looked for that scar.
Wow. And was he killed by well, let's see, then the transition. What happened in the transition to the other life or to the on the other side? And what happened when he came over? Who did he meet and what was the process like? Was he judged? Did he have to judge himself?
Ooh, he was greeted by his mother. She had passed away. What about your father? No, his father was still on the earth plane. His father was very much like a chameleon type of person, like he just didn't want any trouble. I'm getting like, or whoever this male is that raised him, I feel like it could be a father or grandfather. But I see that on the other side, his mother is there, and he's just relieved because his whole life had been practically fighting, apart from some very few formative years where he was allowed to be happy.
Hmm.
Everything else was just death, destruction, fighting, organizing battles and things like that. Uh, Even killing horses, they would have to kill the enemy's horses as well. And that he hated that. He really hated that at that aspect of, well, you know, we have to disable the enemy. So, you know, being mobilized on horses is an advantage to what they had. And I'm saying, well, why didn't you just steal the horses? And they did. They did, but if they couldn't steal the horses, then they would just kill the other side's horses. So that was huge. Now, were you judged when you went up there? No, he wasn't judged. Did you have to judge yourself? Yes. Did you have a life review? Yes, of sorts. And it tells you about all the unresolved issues that you have now come up there with. Is that what the life review essentially is? I mean, he says if you want to put it in that way. No, did you have to go through this life review and see all the people that you had killed? Yes, he did. And how did that make you feel? Nothing. He felt quite indifferent. I mean, this is just a role. It's like watching a movie, right? When you get down, sorry, when you get up there, he says it's like looking at watching a movie.
Who was there at the round table or the square table or were there what beings were there? Was it just you and your other incarnations at the life review?
Oh, I thought you meant like King Arthur.
He
Was King
wasn't there.
Arthur
He's
there?
not,
No.
no, he's not
Uh,
real.
so what the life review was, it like sitting at a table and having a discussion? No, no, it's almost like you get put into this chamber, and it's an energetic chamber, and it you sort of all the things that you did, or does it flash before your eyes? Yes. And all the energy, it's an all-knowing thing, right? So you're in this chamber, and all the feelings that you made people feel, they come back to you, and you're supposed to, I mean, are you supposed to feel bad about, I mean, yes, in theory. Did you have any children in that lifetime? Now he's telling me no, he had no children in that lifetime that he was aware of. But I'm saying now you're on the other side. Did you have any children? No, no, he really, I mean, did you get entangled with women? I mean, occasionally. I feel like he, I don't want to say the word and get thrown off of YouTube, but the R word, a few women, okay, that's what you did in battle. So no, no, he didn't. So you're in this chamber and you're feeling all the feelings, and where does that go? Do you absorb that energy? No, but it's a knowing. It's a knowing, and it's basically telling you like how you did. Or so did you feel after you walked out of the chamber? What did you feel? Like he said, I can't do this anymore. So are you saying you can't do battles anymore? And he's basically saying, yeah, I'm just, that was enough. Like he'd had battle lifetimes before, but this was so extreme. It's almost like he had to get it out of his system by being so extreme. And he said, no, from that moment on, I chose that this is not for me, and that I need to do, instead of creating a lot of this bad, being in this karmic debt cycle, creating bad karma for others, even though I'm being attacked. But sometimes they just surprise attack people. They did, assault women and things like that. And he's saying, and that's where I knew that I just can't do this anymore. It's just too much. So every lifetime after that, he's saying most of it was humble, peaceful, and helpful to others.
How long did it take him to recover from that life as Spartacus before he reincarnated again? Because the first thing I thought was maybe he decided at that point, with all that debt trauma, karmic balance, he decided, I want out of the incarnation loop, but he was just deciding he wants out of the battle loop. So, how long was recovery after Spartacus?
Did you want out of the reincarnation? Yeah, I mean, he did want out. He never wanted to be in the reincarnation loop, but you don't have a choice. See, this is what I keep trying to tell people. And I know that they may or may not believe me. I can tell from the comments, like, no, this is my last lifetime, Liz. No, it's not. I'm so sorry, but it really isn't. Um, he's telling me, you don't, he's saying they don't have that choice. You don't get to choose when your last lifetime is, right? That is chosen by source and not you. That is decided upon by the big cheese, the big, whatever you want to call him. That's who decides whether you reincarnate or not. Again, not you, right? So 200 years in between, because he had to one by one go through all the karmic debt and figure out who he was going to repay it back to in the next lifetime.
Did he say, I'm done with the incarnation loop? And then someone slapped him down and said, no, you're not?
Ooh. No, because it's an all knowing when you get up there. You do not have a say so. You are in it until it is decided otherwise. That's new information, right? I did not know that. I thought that it was the soul that would decide that it was the last reincarnation. I've done everything, I've graduated, I'm
Yeah.
vibrating at a really high level, my ego is very small, I'm living a very minimalistic life, I'm devoting my life to just, adding to the frequency and the vibration by way of maybe humming or praying or whatever. Uh, the no, that apparently it is source that decides, who makes that decision. Now, I did not know that.
Over those 200 years, what are the healing modalities that you have availed to you to make you able to come back?
What are the healing modalities that you have available to you? All you can do is design and plan. Do you heal up there? I mean, there is a little bit of healing that does take place, but that's by way of education. So when you say it's by way of education, what do you mean? Like, you have to go educate yourself on the better ways to do things. Now, a lot of souls are quite reckless. Those are the younger souls. They think that they don't need this education. They're just jumping back down into this arena on the earth plane. And but they soon learn. Or maybe they don't soon learn, he says, but they will eventually get it. That a lot of wisdom, a lot of education, each lifetime is building upon the other lifetime. And eventually you turn a corner to, okay, my life now needs to be structured in a way that is providing good and bringing enlightenment to others. So, if you're a surgeon and you're saving someone's life, think about the implications of that. Those people probably know. And he says, yes, they do. They will. They know that they're ready, they're ready to die. And that gives them a new lease on life, hopefully, that Oh my God, I was on death's door and I saw the heavens, the light flash before my eyes, and I knew I was a goner. And how many times do you hear, thank God for the surgeons and the doctors who saved me, right? That's where
Mhm.
he's going to be.
Did he have to go around to everybody that he'd killed and say, "Hey, why don't you come back to me while I'm a surgeon next time, and then we'll get that balance?" Or do they have their own planning team and decide to come to him?
No, he went to them. That was a good question. He went to them and said, this is how I plan to repay the karmic debt. Is I'm going to now save your life so I can erase that debt.
So, how many lifetimes had he had up until Spartacus? How many in between in total as a human? What's he at in this one?
How many lifetimes have you had in between Spartacus? He's had about 50 human lifetimes. He likes to leave big gaps in between the lifetimes. And how many of you had altogether? Oh, he's had a good, now he's pretty up there. He's had a good 400 or 500 lifetimes. So he definitely has played this game for a very long time.
Wow. What does he wish people knew about the life that they have right now?
What do you wish people knew that about the life that they have right now? It's a lot easier than what you think it is. If you could only transport back into those times and see how awful it was and how awful people were to one another, you would have a better and greater understanding of your current lifetime. And you would just be thankful for the life you're living now.
Well, Dr. Spartacus, psychic medium Liz Cross, and everybody out there, we appreciate you. We'll see you next time.
This was excellent. Thank you, Mr. Reality, for putting it together. And again, Mr. Reality, you are so fabulous, and you do have a tip jar listed down below. Thank you.
Bye bye.